Metalheads, and welcome to episode 54 of the Harsh Vocals Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Corbett, and with me is my good friend, Christian Renner. How are you doing today, man?
Pretty good. Happy to be alive in today's wonderful world. That's maybe not all 100% possible. Holy shit. Yep. Yeah, but hey, the music's good. That's all that matters.
Definitely seems that when things get terrible, the music gets better. Not just in the world, but in our personal lives and everything else. The last month has been horrible on so many levels.
Oh, yeah.
But the music just keeps getting better and better. Honestly, the last 3 weeks are incredibly strong. Probably the strongest of 2026 so far. Several times we said that it's been kind of an odd year because it's been like 1 week on, 1 week off. Looking back, there's been a lot of really great music. It's just been a little bit inconsistent in how it's getting released, because we'll have these weeks where it's 40 great albums, and then the next week there might be 5. It's pretty unusual to get 3 in a row where it's just like everything you listen to is really good, though. I had such a hard time making my picks this episode. I had such a hard time figuring out my honorable mentions. And even with all the honorable mentions you picked, which I agree with a lot of them, and mine, I still think there's like 20 or 30 albums we could be discussing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's wild how good it's been. And coming up on the next episode, too, I feel exactly the same. I just finished listening to this previous Friday's releases, and there's so much good stuff there as well. Just a great time for music all around.
Yeah, I already found 5 from last week. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of, since we are talking about how much good music there is, I'm sure you've noticed that the title for this episode is More Music 4. As usual, when we have a cycle like this where there's just too much good stuff to talk about, we're doing another More Music where instead of a topic, we play extra songs. I hope you guys don't mind that too much. I think hearing the music's more important than listening to us gab about stuff anyways. So
exactly.
I guess let's just get started. What's your first pick for the episode, Christian?
My first pick is going to be Announce the Apocalypse. The album is called Void. We have thrash/death metal from Tampa, Florida. The perfect area for death metal. Fourth from Slip Trick Records. The track that I picked is Terror from the Void. Although I think Wake Nefericon is actually a better track, but it's 9 minutes long. And that's just too long for here. But this is a fantastic track, too. But I will be talking about Wake Nefericon just a little bit. Thrash death, but this is a bit of a misnomer. Metallum has this listed only as thrash metal, but I feel way more like this is mellow death with a very strong thrash lean. And in the greater scheme of things, I know this really, really doesn't matter, but I want the listener to understand exactly what to expect when going into this. Usually only time I notice bass guitar is with stuff like Iron Maiden, where it's very, very, very obvious. But the bass work here is courtesy of Sean Loureiro. I had to mention this because it's absolutely fantastic. And you actually notice the bass on this. And yeah, he does a fantastic job. Now, that track that I mentioned earlier, Wake Nefericon, is hands down my favorite track on this album. And it would absolutely be interested in a complete album going in this direction. It's just slightly different than the rest of the album. And in my final takeaway, this is a very tightly played death/thrash album that shows some real ambition, especially in that final track, Wake Nefericon. And I can't wait to see what they do in the future. If they embrace that direction of the final track, that next album will be absolutely fucking fantastic. Not saying the rest of the beginning of this album was subpar or whatever. It's very, very good. But that Wake Nefericon song is so damn good. And there's so much going on there that I would love to hear whole album like that.
It's like the epic feel with the closer on this album that is what you're trying to describe. The whole album is so good. I really enjoyed this one a lot as well. And if you hadn't picked it, I probably would have. The melodies are captivating. It's fun in places. There's a lot of great riffs. You're combining death and thrash, so you kind of get the best of both worlds with the riffage.
Yep.
Guitar work is killer. The bass is noticeable, which, like you said, is not something we do talk about a whole lot. And I don't think anybody really does. Bass kind of gets pushed to the side a lot in these kind of discussions. But when it stands out, it just makes it that much more apparent when it is doing something special. And I do feel like it's kind of special in this album. There's another album in my list where I mentioned the bass as well. So definitely something that we've been paying attention to this cycle. Yeah. But I thought this was a fantastic album. I had a lot of fun with it. I also really enjoyed the epic feel of that final track, Awake Nefericon, and I would like to see more of that as well. It's a little bit more progressive than the other songs too, and I think that's what really just sort
I think
of
so too.
makes it more captivating, because I don't know if you've paid attention to like our favorites throughout the few years we've been doing this, but I'm obviously really drawn to progressive style black metal and progressive style death metal, especially when it's done really well. I don't like everything, but when it hits right, there's nothing better. And this definitely hits right. So,
Yep, absolutely.
great pick. Let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Announce the Apocalypse off their album Void. And the track that Christian picked is Terror from the Void. What a great song.
Yep.
Really, you could have
Killer
picked any
riff.
song. It's a very solid album all the way across the board. I would have loved to hear the 9-minute track here again as well, but for our listeners' sake, we try not to pick too many of those too often.
Yeah. We don't need a 3-hour podcast.
Well, yeah. All right. Well, moving on to my first pick for the episode. This is the band Funeral Pile. They released an album called Summoning. This is blackened death/doom from Germany. Their second full-length album since 2008. These guys are unsigned. I really enjoyed this album. Doom metal, I've mentioned many times, is not something that I'm usually drawn to. A lot of the time it's too slow for me. It has to kind of hit that right sweet spot where the slow parts accentuate what's going on with the melodies and with the death metal stylings in order for me to really be drawn to it. Funeral Pile hit that exact point for me where it is doomy in just the right places, but also death metal-y throughout the majority of the rest of the album. It scratched the itch. It hit that spot perfectly. I love this album. I couldn't get enough of it. I listened to this album probably 25 times over the last 2 weeks. If you like classic Insomnium kind of stylings, I do sort of consider older Insomnium like the pinnacle of the death doom kind of sound. I feel like this is right in that realm. And if you're looking for something like that, I think you'll love this album.
Yeah, I could see that. The album itself, I liked it, but I think they tried a little too much with the atmosphere. Like for me, there was way too much atmosphere. Like they had repeated sections where they were building that atmosphere over and over and over again. There were a lot of repeated riffs and stuff. And for me, it just didn't work. But I could definitely see why you picked it. And especially I know how much you're drawn to those atmospheric albums. And this album is just dripping with atmosphere. There's so much atmosphere on this. So I definitely see why you dug it. It was just a little too slow for me, but yeah.
That's understandable. We're not going to agree on everything. And like, if it was a little bit slower, it wouldn't be for me either. So like I said, it just hit that sweet spot. And, if your tastes align with mine, I think you'll really enjoy it. So let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Funeral Pile off the album Summoning. And the track that I picked is The Ghost of Orion. I really like that song. There's a lot of variety in the album. Some of the songs are definitely more slow than others. This one, I think, really sort of gravitates towards that melodic death metal sound while having some slower parts to accentuate it, which is why I picked it. But there's a lot of versatility and a lot of variety on this album. So if you like that at all, I would recommend checking it out.
And just so the listener understands, when I say it's slow sections building that atmosphere, think Opeth. Opeth does that a lot too, where they'll repeat the same sections, not same sections, but like same guitar parts, like 4 or 5 times before they move on to something else. And I mean, Opeth annoys me when they do that a little too much too. Yeah.
Christian's like, I don't like this. I'm going to compare it to Opeth.
Yep.
Which is like one of his favorite
bands. That I love. Yep.
That's funny. All right, well, let's move on to your next pick.
All right.
What do you got?
My next pick is the band Harrowed. The album is called The Eternal Hunger. We have death/punk music from Stockholm, Sweden. Their debut, they are unsigned. The track that I picked is Bayonet. Man, there's a lot of entombed and autopsy worship going on here, but never in a simple copycat way. They're definitely in that, taking what Entombed and Autopsy do, but adding a little spin to it. But you can definitely tell who they are fans of. Lots of varied tempos throughout, which I give the credit to that punk influence, as there are quite a few beats here that are used in punk music. I found this out a little bit later, but what the fuck? This is a 2-man project, which is kind of crazy considering how good this really is. And I really shouldn't say that it's that crazy that it's only 2 people doing this, but man, this is a fantastic album for 2 people to write. This is savage and filthy death metal album that is a throwback and nails that old school atmosphere with tons of conviction, and the relentless riff barrage is sure to keep that pit moving. That was my final takeaway, and that's exactly how I feel about it. This is just a fun album that will be absolutely killer live. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a good time. That pit's going to go crazy. This is just a really good album.
Hey, sometimes you just need a really good death metal album, and when it has punk metal influences, like that adds a lot to it. One thing I will circle back to is you compared it to Entombed and Autopsy. So, like riff-wise, I definitely hear the worship there a little bit, but vocal delivery on this album is considerably better than both of those bands, I think. There's a lot of variety in the vocals, and well, definitely a lot more variety than you get from either of those bands. And for me, especially, like the vocal delivery is something that's always important. One of the most important things for me. If it's all one note, it's really hard for me to get past that. So I really appreciate the variety here, and I think it adds a lot to it. This is a really good pick as well. Maybe it wouldn't have made my list, but that's just because there was so much good stuff to choose from.
Yeah. Well, I know my next one is not going to be a favorite of yours, so.
Yeah, I know. But I've got at least one on my list that you're not a huge fan of either, so it's okay.
So there you go.
But let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Harrowed off the Eternal Hunger, and the track that you picked is Bayonet.
Coming down it.
what is the main thing about that song? That fucking riff. That riff is fucking killer, man. I love that riff.
Yeah, it's aptly titled Bayonet. It feels like you're taking a bayonet to the face.
Yeah.
Just aggressive, balls to the wall, fun. It's a great album.
Yeah, bayonet to the face.
All right.
That's what you call fun.
In our world, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, moving on to my next album. This is the band Lomsk, Lomsk. They put out an album called Act 2 of Iron and Blood. This is black metal from Sweden, their debut album since 2022. All of their songs are about war, so it's no surprise that the band members have chosen pseudonyms that are all war-related. We have the captain, the major, the lieutenant, and the colonel. I don't know which instruments each one plays, but that's how they're listed on Metallum. But if you're going to do a band that's all about war, I think that is pretty fitting. Since this is their debut, I thought it was a little unusual that it's called Act 2, but they have an EP that was called Act 1 that I went back and listened to as well, and it's very good. You can definitely see how they've improved over the last few years, but even that is a very solid album, a very solid EP. This one, though, I couldn't get enough of. It was one of the first albums that really grabbed me in this cycle. There's a lot of complex songwriting. There's a lot of great melodies all throughout all the songs. I kept returning to it over and over again. There was only a couple of albums in the entire 2-week period that I thought were more gripping for me, and only for very specific reasons. This was, I think Christian would agree with me, this is easily one of the strongest albums from this week, if not the strongest overall, probably with the most mass appeal to fans of extreme music too.
Absolutely. This would have easily been a pick for me if you hadn't taken it. The excellent use of melody without losing any of the aggression. I think one of the things that really impressed me is when I researched this band a little bit, and this album is 100% DIY. It was written, recorded, produced, mixed, all by the band. There wasn't one bit of this album that was done by anybody else. A lot of times the mixing and mastering will be done by somebody else, even if the recording was done by the band. But this is all the band. And man, this album sounds fantastic. I was a big,
it sounds
big
massive
fan.
too. It's like, the production on it is very huge sounding, which is one of the things I really liked. I didn't realize the band had done it all themselves, but that's just a testament to whoever in the band has those mixing skills, because it sounds amazing.
I'm going to say the Colonel.
Probably. Colonel Mustard in the studio with the mixer.
Yep, there you go. That was my thought process as well.
All right, well, enough cheesy jokes. Let's go ahead and move on and play the song. Again, this is Lomsk off of Act 2 of Iron and Blood, and the track that I chose is Stare into the Void.
It's all singing, reputation.
I fucking love this song. I could have picked any song on the album, but this is the one that just, it lives with me when I'm not listening to this. It stays in my head. I think about it when I'm not listening to it. We talked before about metal guys not really being drawn to singles very often. Like we listen to full albums and we kind of evaluate things as full albums. But even in a great album, every once in a while, there's a standout track. And I feel like for this album, this is that standout track. And
I think
it's
so
just
too.
been cycling through my head nonstop. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think it's fantastic.
That would have actually been the track that I picked as well. So, all right, my next pick is a band Chain Gun with an umlaut over the U. And we have Nukin' the Heaven's Door instead of Knockin' on the Heaven's Door. We have Nukin' the Heaven's Door. We have black/thrash metal from Krakow, Poland, another Polish band. This is their debut from Virulent Records. The track that I picked is Conflagration. Again, I pick Conflagration. There you go. Again, I pick a fantastic black/thrash metal or black and roll album. I'm nothing if not consistent. I'm sure the moment Justin heard this, he bailed simply knowing that this was going to be a pick for me. That and
That's not true. I listened to the full album. It's a really good album aside from that one aspect. If you remember on the last episode, I talked about the Lead Injector album that you liked so much, and it's not even that the songs are bad. It's just like every so often in every song he would do that really high pitched shriek, and it just completely ruins it for me. These guys do the same thing. It's like the album itself is not bad. The music's great, and most of the time when he's singing, it fits. Like, I think it's a good album, but please stop doing that.
See, and that I'm used to that. I don't know where it was, but there was in the past. There's always been bands that have done that, and I just kind of got used to it. And I love the mix of thrash and early black metal attitude and some filthy rock and roll energy that's reminiscent of bands like Venom, like what they were doing in the early 80s. And just throwing this out there, I was not a Venom fan back in the day. I've always thought that they were kind of meh, really. There's so many better bands, but hey, they were one of the first
Agreed.
people to start doing this, but there's a lot of bands that have done it better. This album is Circle Pit Heaven. Their shows have to be constantly moving pits with plenty of insanity to keep it going. It seems like they write music specifically for pits. This is a short album, but I think that helps keep that aggression at a fever pitch. And the album never overstays its welcome. And these black and roll and black/thrash metal albums, right at the 30 to 40 minute mark, is just perfect. You really don't want them to be longer than that because the songs can get a little tedious, and especially when you start hearing, a little. Let's just say some of this stuff is kind of one note. You'll get a lot of the same speed, a lot of the same tempos. So like 30 minutes is perfect, absolutely perfect for me. And this album is right. I think it's right at 32 minutes. So just the perfect length for this album. The final takeaway.
It's a sweet spot for you.
Yeah, it's about that sweet spot. My final takeaway is Chain Gun have delivered a filthy, high-octane blast of blackened speed/thrash metal that absolutely thrives on reckless energy and mosh pit madness. This album is attitude personified. And that's what it really, really felt to me. Like, you just get a ton of attitude in this album. Like these guys are just angry, but in a fun way. And yeah, the show is going to be a blast. So come early, stay late.
Yeah. Like I said before, it's a very fun album. I could just do without the high pitched shrieks. Like, cut that, and you go up a whole 2 points in my book.
I can definitely.
I also got to wonder if it's pronounced Chain Gun or Chain Goon.
Chain Goon. If it's Polish, maybe Chain Goon.
I don't know.
Sometimes I think bands just add umlauts just to add umlauts.
I think so too. Maybe not. Who knows? All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track again. This is Chain Goon off of Nukin' the Heaven's Door, and the track that Christian picked is Conflagration. Those shrieks, man.
Yep. Yep. The shrieks.
But I mean, it's a good song. It's like fun, high energy, lots of attitude, like you said. I think you're spot on in your descriptions, and whether or not you can appreciate that kind of screechiness or not, I guess just really depends on your ear. Like I said, we don't agree on everything, but
Yep.
I don't think it's a bad album.
Oh, yep. What's your next one?
Well, moving on to my next pick. This is an album that I think more people will really like. This is the band Fire Magic. They put out an album called Memories of Fire. This is black metal from Virginia. Their second full-length album since 2020. These guys are a two-piece as well. A guy named WW does the vocals, guitar, and bass, and then a guy named SB does the drums. And SB is actually the same drummer from Antichrist Siege Machine, who is, if you're not familiar with, an extremely aggressive war metal band.
Really?
He's a masterful drummer and adds a lot to this project, I think. So Fire Magic is like fun, high-intensity, melodic black metal, reminiscent of Moonlight Sorcery, Spectral Wound, Stormkeep, a lot of other bands that are their contemporaries that are high energy, fun, but definitely classic black metal at their core. The songwriting on this is really well done. There's a lot of different melodies that flow into each other. It keeps you engaged from beginning to end. There's not a weak moment on this entire album. It is just fun from beginning to end. And I couldn't get enough of this. From the moment I heard it, it kind of blew away everything else I was listening to. And I just kept coming back to it over and over again. There's only one album that I listened to more than this. And I think I heard this one 40 times. So that's saying something.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, you keep talking about fun. And my very first thing that I have in my notes here is capital letters FUN. This album just feels fun. So this is another album with plenty of melody that never loses the aggression. And I went back and I listened to their last album so I could compare the two. And this one definitely feels more confident. Did you listen to their last album?
I need to. I should. I really like this so much that I should go back and hear their previous one.
Yeah. This one here, just, like I said, just feels a lot more confident, like a band that's really hitting their stride. Everything about this was just fun. I just really dug this. I mean, if I could buy this on vinyl, I would 100% buy this on vinyl.
Yeah, it would be an instant buy for me as well. And this is one that I would probably listen to periodically from now until forever. This is one of those kind of albums that's evergreen, and like you can just toss it on any day and it's a good time.
That I don't know how many times I've thrown on that Stormkeep album. I just constantly go back to it, especially on vinyl.
So do I. And speaking of, they released a new single yesterday. I know we don't talk about singles too much on the show, but when a band like Stormkeep releases one, you kind of got to check it out, right? And
it was badass.
Drastically changing their sound. Their direction is pushing way more into the symphonic realm than their previous stuff. It's still definitely Stormkeep, but there's like this Dimmu sort of layering on top of it that just makes it into something completely new. It's fantastic. If you haven't heard it, you got to go check that out. I'm really excited for the next album from them.
Oh, I'm pre-ordering that as soon as I get a chance.
Yeah. But not to take away from Fire Magic, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Fire Magic off of Memories of Fire, and I love this track title. It's called Leave Me Where I Fall. What a killer song, man.
Yeah, it is. That whole album is just really good.
It really is. I think if you like black metal at all, this is one of those kind of albums that no matter what your preferences are in black metal, I think you'll find something to like in this. So I highly endorse this one. I think everybody will gain something from this.
Yeah, if you like black metal, even in the slightest, you're going to like this album. I don't see how you could not.
Yeah.
All right. So my last pick of the episode is the band Osamancer, Banab Jed's Path. I'm going to...
That was pretty
hopefully
good.
I didn't...
I was waiting to see you butcher it.
Oh, yeah. And I actually did better than that. Better than I did on the American word, conflagration. God damn it.
That's
I
true.
can't say that word. We have black metal from San Luis Obispo, California. Their second album on Esoteric Evocations. The track that I picked is Sobek, Cosmic Vibrations Devoured. Again, simply shocked. This is a one-man project. And I'm starting to wonder if this is a thing or not, but have you ever noticed these one-man projects? They seem to be way deeper and dense. Have you ever noticed that?
I think it
like
it
Blake
depends
Lamoureux?
on the project, right? It depends on the project, right? So a lot of the solo projects we've talked about and covered on the show are black metal. It's a genre that definitely draws people to do their own stuff because it's such a perfect medium for expression, right? Mm-hmm. And whether you're sad or angry or have a story to tell or a concept or whatever it is, having complete control over it definitely adds something to developing a black metal sound and basing it around whatever you're trying to convey. Like you mentioned, Blake, he's telling a story. He's written this movie style cinematic world that he's built and all these characters, and he's telling a story with his black metal, and it's really cool. But other times you get things where it's way more emotional and way more deep, and it's talking about personal tribulations and things like that. Other times you get way more like lighthearted poppy stuff. I mean, Sidon, for example, like it's not completely a solo project, but Splatterpunk writes most of the music. Hundo Sai just contributes the drums. It's very fun. It's dark, extremely dark material, but it's still very fun, upbeat material. So like I think solo black metal artists are kind of in a league of their own because they can accomplish whatever they want to through this medium. And I'm not sure any other medium, even within metal, gives you that kind of freedom that you get in black metal.
It just seems like they're like so deep, and this album is definitely deep. It just feels deep. And
Telly put a lot of thought into it. All the song titles are complicated, long song titles. The Ogdode arrangement and the Osirian, the hell's this say? The Ogdode arrangement and the, it's so long that Spotify has to scroll so I can see it. Osirian creation. That's a mouthful.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Like every single title on this is so long that it can't fit onto a single line in Spotify. Obviously, he's telling a story with this, and it looks like it's very heavily inspired by Egyptian mythology or something along those lines. Like the artwork looks very Egyptian. It's like a golden pharaoh or alien kind of creature standing between three pillars with the moon in the background. That just screams Egypt to me. There's like a snake swirling around on the ground too. I love stuff like this. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. And I should say that this album should be in the dictionary for melodic black metal, and not because of the melody, but rather how it's used. It really feels like a lot of thought was put into the song structures and layering. The melody is used relatively sparingly, but when it arrives, it really shines and adds an incredible amount to the overall feel of this album. My final takeaway is this is a swirling ritual of occult black metal where Osamancer trades sheer brutality for atmosphere and a nice dose of melody, crafting a record that feels less like a collection of songs and more like some cult ceremony is happening as you're listening to it. It just felt like an experience as you're listening to this album. And the more I listened to it, the more it just felt like like that's where I got the idea that it's a cult ceremony going on, because it really felt
I like
one.
that.
Yeah, it felt like one song was leading into the next, leading into the next. It really felt like a complete story that the guy's telling. And I absolutely love this
I think
album.
so too. Yeah, I really like this one as well. If you hadn't picked it, I probably would have. It's definitely different than anything else that I've heard in a really long time. I haven't heard a concept album this good in quite a while. And I like that you called it an experience, like you're being put through some sort of cult ceremony. That is poetry in words. It's a poetic description of this. I think that fits it very well.
I try.
Hopefully people like the song and go check out the album because it's very good. But again, this is Ossomancer off Bonabajed's Path, and the track is called Sobek Cosmic Vibrations Devoured. Such a cool song.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where I would love to know more about the story or the concept behind it. I wonder if this is on vinyl. Have you checked?
I have not checked yet. I was doing some other stuff today, but I will be checking as soon as we finish this. I'm going to check on that.
I feel like this is one of those. If there is vinyl for it, it probably comes with like a cool book or something in the insert where it explains the story a bit or something. Because I'd like to know more.
So.
And if Kamos, or I'm not sure how to say his name, the solo guy Kamos, if he listens to this on the podcast, reach out and let us know. We'd love to know more about the story. So that brings us to our final pick of the episode, and this is my last one. And this is from the band Toward the Throne. They released an album called Midnight. This is progressive, atmospheric, melodic death metal from France. These guys are currently unsigned, and this is their second full-length album since 2012. Like I said, the world has been shit lately. My life has been shit lately. So I'm definitely more drawn to emotional music than I typically am. And my typical status is quite a bit anyways, because I really like that kind of music. This band, and this album in particular, has so much of what I love from so many other bands. It's got the progressive elements that are reminiscent of Rivers of Nile with lots of groove and lots of incredible bass lines. It's got the post-black kind of atmosphere and emotionally delivered vocal stylings that remind me of older Garia albums. It's got so much going on in the melodies and the songs that it just resonated with me stronger than anything else I've listened to this entire cycle. This is an album I kept going back to over and over again, and right now I feel pretty confident in saying that it's in my top 5 albums for the year. The real downside is that it's only available on the band's Bandcamp page from France, and it's 35 euros for the album plus 45 euros for shipping, which that's a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, fuck.
So
that's like $100 for a record.
Convince myself. I know. It's trying to convince myself to pull that trigger, but oof. It also is unabashedly French, which, like, for the last year, I've just been talking about how much I love the French black metal scene, how they have this aura that separates them from all the other black metal musicians. And you could definitely see that and feel that in their music. There is some sections that have spoken word. There is some sections that have just little accents that make it feel like a French black metal band. And again, it's really hard to put into words. I just keep calling it the aura of Frenchness that exists in these bands, but it's definitely in place here. And I love that. I love that it's so easily identifiable. I think this is a fantastic album. What did you think, Christian?
I really like this one as well, and I went back to some of their earlier material. Did you go back?
No, I've only been listening to new stuff, but I need to.
All right. And this is certainly a step up. They've added a lot more atmosphere. And, you know, there's a few symphonic elements here and there. I would like to see a little bit more of that. I think they really did a fantastic job in mixing all these, you know, the atmosphere and the symphonic elements. And, I mean, and honestly...
There's so much going on, but it never feels overwhelming.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what you're talking about in the Frenchness is in how they use the atmosphere. I think French bands kind of use atmosphere just slightly differently. And it just adds that little extra. I'm not exactly sure how to explain how they do it differently, but you can tell when you hear it.
It's that aura. I don't know what else to call it. It's like an aura of Frenchness that is just built into it. Yeah.
Yep. And whenever there's a French band, I always wait for that. It's like, oh, are they going to do it? And 9 times out of 10, yeah, they do. I'm not exactly sure if they're all talking to each other. Like, hey, don't forget to add the aura.
It's something in the water or the baguettes. Maybe. I don't know. Something over there.
The crepes. It's the crepes.
It makes them stand apart. It could be the crepes.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love this album, and every single song is very different from all the other songs, but they all fit together so impeccably. This particular track that I chose, called Forge Ahead, it kind of has like a very like uplifting message. It definitely had a message that I've needed while I've been dealing with the last month of my life. Just kind of motivational, pushing me to keep going forward and everything. Sometimes things just click. Sometimes albums come out and it's just the right time for you to hear it, and metal is the soundtrack of your life, and this album has definitely been the soundtrack of my past few weeks. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I have, and check out the rest of the album when you get a chance. Again, Towards the Throne, the album is called Midnight, and the track is called Forge Ahead. So good. Just such a good song, such a good album. Yeah. I'll be really surprised if it's not in my top 10 at the end of the year. It's going to take a lot to displace it.
I agree. So I guess we're at honorable mentions. And my first one is A Goat as Our Shepherd. What a title for a band. Kind of a long title, but it's such a great title. Man Proposes, Earth Disposes. Great.
I love it.
Great album title. We have Death Metal from Belgium. Their second album. They are unsigned. And if you like Cataclysm, Unleashed, or Hypocrisy, you will dig A Goat as Our Shepherd.
I think they're better than those bands too. I really, really liked this album. This was a contender for being a pick for me as well. There was just so much good music this cycle. Yeah. We couldn't play a song from everything, but if you like that metal, if you like that music at all, like you should check this album out. You should check out most of these eligible mentions, to be honest.
Alrighty. Next we have Black Swan, the album called Paralyzed. We have heavy metal / hard rock. They're from various places. This is their second album. They are on Frontiers Music. And if you're a fan of Robin McCauley, Reb Beach, Jeff Pilson, or Matt Starr, or anything Frontiers Music does, because they have a very, very distinct sound that they go for, and a lot of their music is right in that wheelhouse there. If you like Frontiers Music, you are going to like this album as well. Then we have Divine Threat, Pillar of Agony. We have groove / thrash metal from Norwalk, Ohio. This is their debut, and they are unsigned. This is for fans of the best parts of Machine Head or Lamb of God, mixed with a bit of Havoc. Just that little bit of thrash in there, but like I said, if Machine Head, if they were more thrash, or Lamb of God, if they were more thrash, you're going to get pretty close. Then we have Karelian Warcry, Verapellet, black / death metal from Helsinki, Finland. This is their third album on Inverse Records. For fans of Enslaved, Immortal, or the better parts of Vreed, I got something to say about. Speaking of which, we have Vreed.
Well, let me say something about Karelian Warcry, because it is a great album. They're not doing anything to reinvent the wheel, but it is just fantastic from beginning to end. There's the smallest amount of bloat on some of the songs, but that is my only complaint. So if you like black death metal, check this one out. It's excellent.
Yep. Then we have Vreed. I was wondering whether to put this in my honorable mentions or not, but I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that really dig this. Yeah. We have Vreed, The Skies Turn Black. We have Mellow Black from Sogndal, Finland. This is their 10th album on Indie Recordings. For fans of Enslaved, Campfire, and of course, Windeer, who this band used to be. And I will say half of this album would be probably in my top 10 at the end of the year. The other half, yep, I would like to throw in the river. Just, my God, if I could take half of this album off, I would be so much happier.
This is the third time this year this has happened, where somebody's put out an album that is just, it starts off so masterful. Like you're listening to it and you're just like, wow, top 10 material right here from the get-go. Yep. And it's so good. And then all of a sudden they do something where it's just like, what the hell is this? And there's too much of it and it ruins the entire experience. 3 albums this year that have done this, that have been like top 10 level quality. If they had just made straight black metal albums, all 3 of them would have been in my top 10, probably yours as well.
Yep.
But because of the clean singing, because of the chanting, because of the weird, garbled, clean stuff they do, I just don't get it. Like, I understand black metal at its origin was not meant to sound good, but that's like production. That's not actual song. It's not its vocal delivery. Like, I mean, you want to put out a raw black metal album that sounds like shit, that's fine. But like, if you're going to spend all the money on the production and develop something that sounds incredible, why would you ruin it with these horrible, 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 horrible cleans?
Oh, so bad. So bad. Just, and like I said, half of this, brilliant. Absolutely fucking brilliant. So we know the band can do this. We've heard other albums where the band can do this. And for other people out there, maybe they think that the cleans on this are pitch perfect. I don't know. You and I listen to a shit ton of music, and that is a apt description. We listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
So there's
we listen to an abnormal amount of music.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think we have a pretty good idea of, especially black metal, what sounds good and what kind of doesn't. And man, those cleans are just fucking bad.
Even with cleans, I have a tolerance level, right? There's some kind of point where it's like becomes too flowery or too pretty or whatever it is, too operatic, and it loses me. But I can still say objectively, there are people that will like this. There are people that like that style of clean singing mixed with the black metal, and this is for them. I'm never going to disparage a band for like trying to do something that's their own style that somebody's going to like, because there should be music for everybody. But when it is something so good being destroyed by something so bad, objectively, who is this for? Is this a troll? Like, are they just trying to fuck with the listeners? I don't know. I don't know what it could be. Because you can't tell me that they did this thinking that it was going to have mass appeal or that somebody out there was going to absolutely love this style of singing. Maybe some person does. And if that's you, if you really love this album, please tell us. I would love to be proven wrong, but it's objectively bad.
Yeah.
When so much other stuff in the album is fantastic.
Yeah. And I want to reiterate, like, I don't hate Vreed now. I dislike this album, but I don't hate the band, and their next album I will certainly check out.
No, I'm so impressed by all the other stuff that if they release another album, I will definitely check it out, because I hope that they will eliminate these cleans to make the next album all black metal or have better cleans on it. Because the good stuff is excellent. It's just the bad stuff is so detrimental that it ruins the whole album.
Okay, we better move on. I instead of shitting all over Vreed, my next honorable mention is Myvallyr. Myvallyr. I'm not exactly sure. Myvallyr. That is not exactly.
Yeah, there's a couple of apostrophes in there too, right? It's Myvallyr, something like that.
I'm not sure. The album is called The Past Tales. We have Melodeath from England. This is their debut. They are unsigned. If you like Amorphous, Ensiferum, or Insomnium, the more upbeat Insomnium, you're gonna dig this band. I'm not even gonna try and say the name again. Then we have Epigram, Obsolescent, Melodeath / black metal from Los Angeles, California. Another debut, and they are unsigned. And if you dig Inferi, Septic Flesh, or Necrophobic, you're going to like Epigram. And I know you really like this album.
What a weird combination of three bands. But I think you nailed it. Those three are so different from each other, but it is a little bit of elements from each one you can hear in this. This Epigram album is awesome. This was a pick for me up until right at the end. It ended up just barely being overshadowed by one of the others. But if you like death metal that just has aggression and fun built into it, you got to hear this album. It's among the best death metal albums that have come out this year.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely. And then finally, we have a band called Nerve Star, White Hot. We have heavy metal / hard rock from the UK, and that's all I know. I did find out that this album is a cover album of purposely obscure metal or / proto metal from the 70s and 80s. Basically a love letter to forgotten music. If some of these bands sound familiar to you, you are my hero, because I knew none of these when I looked them up. We have songs from Kilovar, Aragorn, Scream, spelled Skreem, a band called Itchy Brother, a band called Warlock, and not the German one that you're thinking of, because I thought at first too, I was like, hey, I do know one band. They are Warlock from Spain. Didn't even know that.
Itchy Brother?
I did not. So I really dug this album. And when I found out this is completely a complete cover album and only obscure metal, I got to give these guys some credit, because if you're going to do a cover album, usually you try and pick songs that people have heard. So, hey, credit to y'all. And apparently y'all's musical knowledge is way better than mine, because holy fuck, I knew none of these bands. None. Not a single one.
Well, now you got some new bands to go check out.
I guess so.
I'm going to have to look up Itchy Brother and see what that sounds like. 'Cause
Itchy Brother.
I have no idea what to expect.
What a name for a band. Itchy Brother.
Yeah. All right. Well, is that it for your honorable mentions?
Yep, that's all my honorable mentions.
Okay. Well, moving on to mine. First up is the band Marla Guber, Marlugubre. They put out an album called Per Amor Nymphe. This is progressive death metal from Italy. Their third full-length album since 2018. This is a two-piece band. It's a female vocalist and then a guy who does all the guitar work and drums and everything. I didn't realize that she was doing, that it was a female doing all the vocals until I looked it up on Metallum. I love 85% of this album. It is a really great progressive death metal album, but the clean singing on it tiptoes just to the other side of like my tolerance level for the cleans. Some people will absolutely love it. For me, it's probably just a little bit too far on that side, but if you like bands like Green Carnation, you'll probably love this. So it's a really strong progressive death metal album. Just the cleans are just a little too much for me. Next is the band Drawn Into Descent. They put out an album called Onrust. This is atmospheric black metal from Belgium. Their third full-length album since 2013 on Immortal Frost Productions. This is one of those where it's like, is it an EP? Is it an album? Because it was right at that kind of threshold. There's only 4 or 5 songs on the album, but they are excellent. This is exactly the style of atmospheric black metal that I love. There is some bloat just because atmospheric black metal has bloat usually, but it's not extreme. There's just little passages that seem like they go on slightly too long for me. Still, I had a lot of fun with this album. I really enjoyed it. And if you like atmospheric black metal, I think you will too. Next is the band Rotten Soil. They put out an album called I Worship Death. What a title, straight to the point.
Oh, yeah.
Death metal from Germany, second full length since 2020. These guys are unsigned. This is like right on that edge of being fun death metal. It's more of a classic kind of death metal, but there's so much infectious groove built into these songs that it almost crosses over into that fun category that we talk about all the time. There hasn't really been a ton of fun death metal this year so far. So whenever I hear anything that falls kind of close to that category, I'm immediately drawn to it. And that's what happened with Rotten Soil. It's a really great death metal album. If you like death metal at all, I think you'll enjoy it. Next is Miserere Luminous. They put out an album called Sidera. Atmospheric black metal from Canada. Their third full-length album since 2008 on Debemer Morty. Again, they suffer from what all atmospheric black metal bands suffer from, which is bloat. The songs are too long. There's too much going on in places. But there are moments of brilliance on this album. And the production value is extremely high on all the songs. I was immediately captivated by it. And the first time I listened to it, I was kind of blown away by it. But the more I listened to it, because I went back probably 10 times and heard it, the slower passages and the bloated passages just sort of became more and more apparent on repeated listens. Still, if you like atmospheric black metal, you really can't go wrong with it.
I've heard a lot of people talking about this one. I've heard
several people saying album of the year, and the first time I heard it, I could have agreed with them 100%. Like I said, repeated listens, some of the flaws just become a little more apparent, but it's not like it's a bad album at all. It's definitely a 8.5 out of 10. It's a really good album. Next is the band Lightlorn. They put out an album called The Ebb and Flow of Galactic Tides. Atmospheric post-black metal from Sweden. Their second full-length album since 2021 on Black Lion Records. I loved Lightlorn's last album. I became such a fan of them when that one came out. And that one was a little less atmospheric and a lot more post-metal. This one is very atmospheric, but somehow also more aggressive. It's kind of weird. Like they did a lot more atmosphere building, but they also made the vocal delivery in a lot of the songs way more aggressive than it was in the previous one. And it's kind of this weird dichotomy. Mixing those two things, it creates a really unique experience with this album. I liked it a lot. I don't know how high it will end up in my end of year list because the last track is a lot slower and does have those cleats that I don't love. But 90% of the album is fantastic. If you've never heard Lightlorn before, I recommend checking this out and also checking out their previous album. They're both great. Did you like that one, Christian?
I thought it was okay, but I actually kind of liked their last album a little bit more. Not drastically, but I kind of liked the last one a little bit more.
That's fair. Next is the band Xenobiotic. They put out an album called Dante. This is technical death metal with some deathcore elements from Australia. Their third full-length album since 2011 on Unique Leader Records. A lot of people are circling back to that Dante's Inferno theme in albums this year. It's the year of Dante, it seems like. But this is technical death metal done right. There's not a weak song on this album. It is aggressive and catchy and headbanging fun from beginning to end. The deathcore elements are sprinkled in, and it's just the right amount. Like, really.
Yeah.
There's not overuse of the breakdowns or anything. Like, it's all just very well crafted. You can tell they put a lot of time and thought into how they built this album. If you like technical death metal, I highly endorse this one. It's a great album.
This was really close to being a pick for me. That was really close.
Yeah, for me too. It's such a strong couple of weeks. Like I said, even with everything we've already discussed, which is what, 30 albums almost?
Yeah.
I still have 20 that I could talk about. It's unfortunate that it's not more evenly spread so that every band gets an opportunity to be discussed, but we can't have a 3-hour-long podcast, unfortunately.
Yep.
Next is the band from Ashes Reborn. They put out an album called Chasing Utopia. This is melodic death metal from Germany, their second full-length album since 2017. They are unsigned. I really, really liked this album because it has that bright sound to it that you don't really hear a whole lot. Sometimes you get it with melodic death metal, but it's not super common. It's almost like we've been calling it the Dodsworth effect. That bright feel that Dodsworth somehow manages to capture. You also hear that here. So it is very aggressive melodic death metal, but with a brighter tone and just kind of a positivity to it. It's not cheesy in the way that like Christian rock is cheesy, but there's just like a brighter sound to it. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but if you're looking for some like uplifting melodic death metal, which not a lot of people are doing, this album checks that box. Did you like this one?
Oh, I liked it a lot.
It's good.
Yeah.
Next and finally is the band Tanniniver. That's TANIN''IVER. They put out an album called Save the Rest for the Wicked. This is black and death metal from Australia, their fifth full-length album since 2019. They're unsigned, and this is the solo project of a guy named Scorm. Again, not a band that's doing anything to reinvent the wheel, just an extremely solid black and death metal album that I return back to like 3 or 4 times. There's maybe a little bit too much spoken word stuff on the album, which I think is the only negative thing I could say about it, but it's not overbearing. It's just like the tiniest little extra amount, I feel like. Too much sampling, maybe, from like movies and stuff built into it. But the music itself is excellent. And if you like black and death metal, check this out. It's really, really good. So that does it for my honorable mentions.
Sweet.
So let's move into our. It is a lot. It is a lot. And I don't know if listeners have noticed this or not, but on the website now, whenever we post up our episodes, I've been putting a full list of our honorable mentions there as well. So if you ever want to refer back to it and find any of these bands we've talked about, I try to make it easy for you by posting the band name and the album name. If there's anything I could do better to help you guys find music, let me know. I'm definitely.
We also
open to
do that
ideas.
on Spotify too. I noticed you did that too.
Yeah. Yep. Should be everywhere. All right. Well, let's move into pickups. Have you picked up anything cool recently, Christian?
I have. I was at my local record store and found Death Angel Frolic Through the Park on vinyl. I also picked up Barbarian, Reek of God, that album that came out last month. I had pre-ordered the Testament Souls of Black reissue, and that came in, as well as 2 Halloween albums, Master of the Rings and Time of the Oath. Both of those were reissues that I picked up. And that's it. I just made a pretty sizable order with Blast Beats vinyl. They have an amazing drop, and there's some albums there. If I don't know when you're going to hear this or not, but if you run over to Blast Beats vinyl, they got some Sakis Tolis. They got some, what did I pick up? The first 3 Coroner albums on vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, shit. You better jump on this when you can, because it will disappear. Yeah, and I'm
still waiting for them to drop the new Lamp of Murmur. As soon as that comes out, I'll probably be placing an order with them. But yeah, that's really all I'm waiting for from Blast Beats, I think.
It was a killer drop. If you're interested in any of that, and hopefully it's still there, I know Blast Beats sells out pretty quick. They have a very solid customer base there. People jump on stuff pretty quick. So hopefully y'all can get lucky and jump on those Coroner albums like I did.
Nice. Well, I have nothing to contribute to pickups this episode. I haven't bought anything new. I haven't planned any concerts. Like I said, things have been very busy here the last month, and I just really haven't had time to focus on that stuff as much as I'd like to. But hopefully soon. There are a lot of albums that have come out in the last 2 weeks that I would love to own on vinyl, so I'm going to certainly try to track some of those down. And then there's a lot of concerts later this year that I'm excited about too. There's just hasn't been that much in Houston so far this year. At least not that I could go to.
I should mention that I am next Friday going to see Dark Tranquillity and Soen and Persephone in Minneapolis. I'm going to make that 4-hour drive. Ugh. And it's kind of funny because 5 days after that, I plan on driving back up there to go see Emperor. So I'm going to have a couple of concerts coming up here. Unfortunately, I have 5 hours to see it.
4 or 5 hours for Dark Tranquillity doesn't sound bad. 4 or 5 hours for Emperor definitely seems worth it. And Blood Incantation, right? They're playing with them too. It's like I know I was not the hugest fan of their last album, Absolute Elsewhere. I liked it, but I don't think either one of us loved it as much as the general metal community seemed to. But from what I hear, they're amazing live. It could be one of those Worm situations where it's just once you see them live, it clicks, sort of thing.
Hopefully. I've never seen them live, so we'll find out. I've never seen Emperor live either.
I haven't either. I know they're playing in Austin towards the end of this month or early next month. And if I can, I will go. But I don't know for sure if I'll be able to or not. So
how far is Austin from Houston?
From where I live, it's about 3.5 hours.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not terrible. But like I said, I got a lot going on. So it just sort of depends if I can make it work or not. All right. Well, that does it for pickups. Let's move into our submissions for this episode. So this one comes to us from a band called Fathomless. They're putting out a new album called Number 2, Thy Desolation, and it's coming out on April 3rd, 2026. This is black metal from Oklahoma with a ton of other influences, which you can hear in all the songs. There's a little bit of death metal in there, a little bit of punk, thrash, prog, even some stoner elements. So this is a 5-piece band. A guy named Tyler Blake is the main person behind it. He writes all the music and lyrics. He does the bass, the keyboards, the synths. He plays the theremin, of all things, and he does the backup vocals. And then they have 3 guitarists and a vocalist and a drummer. So a lot going on in the band. It's kind of funny because I was talking to him about this and talking about promoting this on the show. And I asked him for information. He sent me to the bandcamp. This is what their bandcamp says. It says, the second full-length album from Fathomless started out as an homage to Star Trek villains and anti-heroes. But when it came time to write lyrics, the realization dawned that life is imitating art a little too well these days, and it morphed into an anti-fascist, anti-theocratic, and anti-AI album. I like that.
There you go. Everything I'm against.
That's apparently what the album's going to be about. The track that we're going to play for you today is called Honor and Glory, and it's the first single from the album. Christian, did you get a chance to listen to this?
Yeah, I did. I really like the riff-heavy nature of it. Kind of leans heavily on the riff, and I'm kind of hoping that the whole album does that because I dug this song quite a bit.
Yeah, I really like this song a lot too. There's some tempo changes. There's a lot of variety in the song structure and in the vocal delivery. The guitar work is fantastic. I didn't hear a theremin in this song, but I'm sure it's going to come up somewhere else in the album. But it's a great song, and it has me really excited for the rest of the album. I know our buddy Steve is actually on one of the tracks, and then Alicia Cordisco is on one of the tracks as well. She's going to be on their next single, which is releasing Intangibles. It actually comes out this coming Friday. So probably by the time this episode releases, that will be available for people if you want to hear 2 songs from this. Both are currently available on their Bandcamp when this drops. And then on April 3rd, they should be available everywhere you can stream. I'm excited for this. I really like the song. I'm looking forward to hearing the full album. If you like black and death metal, I think you will enjoy it as well, especially if you agree with those ideologies we talked about a few minutes ago.
Who's on the side of fascism? Well, I guess
unfortunately,
a
lot of people.
About 50% of the people here in America, apparently. Holy crap.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is the band Fathomless off their upcoming album, To Thy Desolation. And the track is going to be called Honor and Glory. Make sure you check it out on April 3rd when it releases everywhere. And hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you back in a couple weeks.
See ya. Have a good one.